now I'm getting loose. A blunt of that purple haze, now I got a boost. Talking all that bullshit like you the truth. Now I got
doesn't mean you're a great artist. Look at Van Gogh, look at Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Titian. They didn't have degrees. You You know, now with a degree, you think that you could just mind fuck someone into thinking that, like, my reminder that a degree isn't it. This banana with this duct tape is it.
What up, bro? How your day going? It's Friday Eve. Friday Eve. Once again. We're all almost there, bro. Almost. Hey, how you doing? How's your day going? Oh, it won't make this song for me. What's taking so long for it to generate the song? In the studio, still working on this. About to try to bust out another couple hours. I might be in here about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. Trying to get this one done by tomorrow is my deadline. I don't never put deadlines on myself, but since this is such a historic event, I definitely wanted to finish this piece within a week. That last portrait that I did for the Scranton Club, I got that done in about 2 weeks. A little less than 2 weeks. But I took days off too, and I was in here for like hours at a time trying to spend a lot of time on that piece. And I feel like I put the same amount of hours into this, and I haven't had any days off. I've just been going hard after work, because normally I'll give myself a lot of video game time in the evenings. But this week I just kind of cut the video games out, and that's like 2 extra hours that I can paint. Because no lie, I play video games like 2 or 3 hours a day. Every day.
Sovereignty, no posse comatized, ain't got no apologies. Now everywhere I go, it's like a dark cloud follows me. Got me starting to think that it's hard technology. Never blame God trying to change the weather. Always stuck in the matrix, still chained together. Didn't beat down, keep working, change or whatever. But let's see if I can make a change for the better. I'm the same gamma to happen to the movement. Cause I'ma use my music to bring the youth in. Run up around each other's system like Bruce and every verse I can't got me staying. You trapped in the box because you own do it. I'm out of this world, you better call off Houston. World leaders, who the hell you think you're fooling? You don't give a damn about the state of the union. The union. The union. The union. The union. They all say I'm crazy, going insane. But I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame. Because parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane. But I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious that you ain't the ones to blame. Because when I try to black out, they say trippy, dead wrong. But the system won't change, it's still writing dead songs. Break the Constitution till the thing dead gone. I can't believe that slavery lasted this long. It really hits home when you start to lose jobs. Still looking for the truth, listen to the loot does. Rip a microphone, start yelling at a few snobs. I'm a real patriot, guess what? You're not. And it's getting too hot, and I saw 2 cups. Get the all out of deception and said you white. Said I sound like Tupac, looking at his new watch. Told me I was wondering, I had to move 2 bucks. Every time something changed, I go down too much. So I had to shake the machine until the truth pop. Run around town, putting fires in your news box. Trapped in the darkness, now I'm the union. The union. The union. The union. They all say I'm crazy, going insane. But I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious that you ain't the ones to blame. Because parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane. But I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious that you ain't the ones to blame. Because your first education starts in the household. Gotta teach the kids, don't sit and keep your mouth closed.
Yo, the last 2 songs I did will not generate for some reason. That shit will not come in.
And they do, they wanna take away our sovereignty. No posse traumatized, they ain't got no apologies. Now everywhere I go, it's like a dark cloud follows me. Got me starting to think that it's hard technology. Now they playing God, trying to change the weather while we're stuck in the matrix. Still chained together, getting beat down, kicked round, can change whoever. But I'ma see if I can make a change for the better. I'm the best thing ever to happen to the movement, cause I'ma use my music to bring the youth in. Roundhouse karate, chop the system like Bruce. And every verse I hit, I'll be speaking the truth. If you're trapped in the box, it's because you're own doing. I'm out of this world, you better call on Houston. And all you world leaders, who the hell you think you're fooling? Cause you don't give a damn about the state of the union. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. When I start a blackout, they say trap you're dead wrong, but the system won't change. They still writing dead songs, breaking constitution till the thing's dead gone. I can't believe that slavery lasted this long, and it really hits home when you start to lose jobs. Still looking for the truth, listening to Lou Dobbs. Grab a megaphone, start yelling at a few slobs. I'm a real patriot, guess what? You not, and it's getting too hot, man. I saw two cops gave the Obama deception and said you watch. They said I sound like Tupac. Looking at his new watch, told me I was older when I had to move 2 blocks. Had me wrapped up in chain, shackled down with 2 locks. So I had to shake the machine until the screws popped. Riding around town, putting flyers in your news box. Trapped in the darkness, now we got a new spot. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. First education starts in the household. Gotta teach the kids, don't sit and keep your mouth closed. Read to them, sing to them, it helps their mind grow, so they have a better chance when they let the dice roll. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. Guidelines, code dates, alimentarians, eating poison, but won't pay to bury us. 1933, the country went bankrupt. 1935, banks say they own us. Now we all born with the mark of the beast, Social Security number. You better believe that you are private property of a company, so I'ma reclaim myself in the name of peace. Niggas internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same.
Yo, it just now refused to like generate. It just refused to generate the new song. Damn.
see if it'll make one this time.
We still running, we still riding. South Carolina, we supply it. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. We still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supply it. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. Sipping on that gin and juice, now I'm getting loose. A blood of that purple haze, now I got a boost. Talking all that bullshit like you the truth. Now I gotta shoot a rule of blue, it is proof. Back to the boat, back to the beats, back to the trap house, back to the streets, back cooking cocaine, back serving beans. I shoot you in the ass, turn you back on me. I got my bitch a daiquiri in the bag of weed, then we fuck all night like I'm trying to make a scene. I'm getting ratchet, causing a scene. You call the police, I'm calling my jeans. My gun's so big that it's calling machine. And I'm half baked, still calling for weed. South Carolina gonna blow in due time. A couple thousand in my pocket and $1 million on my mind. We still rolling, we still ride. South Carolina, we supply it. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. Hands on the block, still want that South crack. Never catch me sipping, I'm sleeping with my cat. I'm up in the VIP, you sneaking in the back. I'm smoking with the owner, you sneaking in the sack. I'm creeping in the sack with a bitch so bad. My brain real good and her ass real fat. And then I switch gears cause I like it real fast. Hugging on the curves like I'm whipping the jag. I got a clip in the mag, or a snitch in the lag. The mortician got a bag and a toe tag. But with SCUB, rest in the peace. Just hand me the heat and leave the rest up to me. I push a weed back like a back of that deep. Hand me the work, watch me hustle the things. Hustle this crack rock, hustle this weed, hustle this music, sell the CDs. We still roll, we still ride. South Carolina, we supply it. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. Got a two-seater, me and my heater. We still rolling, blowing smoke from the speakers. Speeding so fast that y'all can't see us. Sonic boom, blow the air, bubbles out your sneakers. We still rolling, we still ride. South Carolina, we supply it. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. I got a two-seater, me and my heel. We still rolling, blowing smoke from the speakers. Speeding so fast that y'all can't see us. Sonic boom, blow the air, bubbles out your sneakers. We still rolling, we still ride. South Carolina, we supply it. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying.
I ain't really like that one.
We still rollin', we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. Sipping on the gin and juice, now I'm getting loose. A blunt of that purple haze, now I got a boost. Talking all that bullshit like you the truth. Now I gotta shoot a rule boot in his tooth. It's back to the booth, back to the beats, back to the trap house, back to the streets. Back cooking cocaine, back serving things. I'll shoot you in the ass, turn your back on me. I feel my bitch a daiquiri and a bag of weed. Then we fuck all night like I'm trying to make a scene. I'm getting ratchet, calls in the scene. You call the police, I'm calling my G's. My gun's so big that it's called a machine. And I'm half baked, still calling for weed. South Carolina going blow in due time. A couple thousand in my pocket and $1 million on my mind. We still rollin', we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. Heads on the block, still the VIP, sneaking in the back. I'm smoking with the owner, you sneaking in the sack. I'm creeping in the sack with a bitch so bad. Her brain real good and her ass real fat. And then I switch gears cause I like it real fast. Looking on the curves like I'm whipping the jag. I got a clip and a mag for a stitch and a lag. The mortician got a bag and a toe tag for an SC. You be resting in peace. Just hand me the heat and leave the rest up to me. I push your wig back like a pack of that heat. Hand me the work, watch me hustle these beats. Hustle this crack rock, hustle this weed, hustle this music, sell a CD. We still rollin', we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. We still rollin', we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. I got a two-seater, me and my heel. We still rollin', blowin' smoke from the speakers. Speak so fast that y'all can't see us. Sonic boom, blowin' air bubbles out your sneakers. I got a two-seater, me and my heel. We still rollin', blowin' smoke from the speakers. Speak so fast that y'all can't see us. Sonic boom, blowin' air bubbles out your sneakers. We still rollin', we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. We still rollin', we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying. I'm the king of the jungle, y'all just lying. We still
I like that. I like that version actually.
the juice, now I'm getting loose. Up under that purple haze, now I got a boost. Talking all that bullshit like you the truth. Now I gotta shoot a bulletproof in his tooth. It's back to the roof, back to the beats, back to the trap house, back to the streets, back cooking cocaine, back serving beans. I shoot you in the ass, turn your back on me. I get my chicken back of weed and a bag of weed. Then we fuck all night like I'm trying to make a scene. I'm getting ratchet, calls in the scene. You call the police, I'm calling my G's. My gun so big that it's called a machine. And I'm half base, still calling for weed. South Carolina gonna blow up through time. Couple thousand in my pocket and $1 million on my mind. Still rolling, we still flying. South Carolina, we supplying all of the fire. Y'all keep buying, I'm the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. Still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying all of the fire. Y'all keep buying, I'm the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. Kids on the block still want that South crack. Never catch me slipping, I'm sleeping with my cat. I'm up in the VIP, you sneaking in the back. I'm smoking with the owner, you sneaking in the sack. I'm creeping in the sack with a bitch so bad. Her brain real good and her ass real fat. And then I switch gears cause I like it real fast. Hugging on the curves like I'm whipping the jam. I got a clip in a mag, boy switching the lag. The mortician got a bag and a toe tag. Fuck with SC, you be resting in peace. Just hand me the heat and leave the rest up to me. I'll push your wig back like a pack of that beat. Hand me the work, watch me hustle these days. Hustle this crack while I hustle this weed. Hustle this music, sell CDs. We still rolling, we still flying. South Carolina, we supplying all of the fire. Y'all keep buying, I'm the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. We still rolling, we still flying. South Carolina, we supplying all of the fire. Y'all keep buying, I'm the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. Two-seater, me and my heater. We still rolling, blowing smoke from the speakers. Speaking so fast that y'all can't see us. Sonic boom, by the L bubbles out your speakers.
Yeah.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? How's it going?
We still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying all of the fire. Y'all keep buying, I'm the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. Sipping on the gin and juice, now I'm getting loose. Oh, blunt, but that purple haze, now I got a boost. Talking all that bullshit like you the truth. Now I gotta shoot a ruler boot in his tooth. It's back to the booth, back to the beats, back to the trap house, back to the streets, back cooking cocaine, back serving fiends. I shoot you in the ass, turn your back on me. I get my chicken back of weed and a bag of weed. Then we fuck all night like I'm trying to make a scene. I'm getting ratchet, causing a scene. You call the police, I'm calling the G's. My gun's so big that it's called a machine. And I'm half baked, still calling for weed. South Carolina gonna blow in due time. A couple thousand in my pocket and $1 million on my mind. And we still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying all of the fire. Y'all keep buying, I'm the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. We still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying all of the fire. Y'all keep buying, I'm the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. Heads on the block, still on that soft crack, crack. Never catch me slipping. I'm sleeping with my cat, cat. Almost in the VIP, you sneaking in the back. I'm smoking with the owner, you sneaking in the sack. I'm creeping in the sack with a bitch so bad. She her brain real good and her ass real fat. And then I switch gears cause I like it real fast. Yeah. fantasy. You be resting in peace. Just hand me the heat and lay the rest of the meat. I put your weight back like the packet in deep. Hand me the work, watch me hustle these fees. Hustle this crack run, hustle this weed. Hustle this music, selling CDs. And we still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying on the king in the jungle. Y'all just lying. We still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying on the king in the jungle. Y'all just lying. I got a two-seater, me and my leader. We still rolling, blowing smoke from the speaker. Speaking so fast that y'all can't see us. Sonic boom, blood and bubbles out the speaker. And we still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying on the king in the jungle. Y'all just lying. We still rolling, we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All of the fire, y'all keep buying on the king in the jungle. Y'all just lying. We still rollin', we still riding. South Carolina, we supplying. All the fire, y'all keep buying on the king of the jungle. Y'all just lying. Sipping on the gin and juice, now I'm getting loose. A blunt of that purple haze, now I got a boost.
Baby Kelly. In a unit, wanna take away our sovereignty. No posse commentarios, they ain't got no apologies. Now everywhere I go, it's like a dark cloud follows me. Got me starting to think that it's home technology. Now they playing God, trying to change the weather. While we're stuck in the matrix, still chained together. Getting beat down, get round and change whoever. But I'ma see if I can make the change for the better. I'm the best thing ever to happen to the movement. Cause I'ma use my music to bring the youth in. Roundhouse karate, chop the system like Bruce. Every verse I kick, got me speaking the truth. If you're trapped in the box, it's because you're on duty. I'm out of this world, you better call on Houston. And all you world leaders, who the hell you think you're fooling? Because you don't give a damn about the state of the union. They all say I'm crazy, going insane. But I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious that you think the ones to blame. Cause parents and teachers are one in the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane. But I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious that you think the ones to blame. Cause when I start a blackout, they say track the dead wrong. But the system won't change, they still writing dead songs. Break the Constitution till the thing dead gone. I can't believe that slavery lasted this long. And it really hits home when you start to lose jobs. Still looking for the truth, listening to loot times. Grab a megaphone, start yelling at a few snobs. I'm a real patriot, guess what? You're not. And it's getting too hot, man, I saw two cops. Take the Obama deception, they said you watch. They said I sound like Tupac, looking at his new watch. Told me I was loitering, I had to move 2 blocks. Got me wrapped up in chains, shackled down with 2 locks. So I had to shake the machine until the screws pop. Running around town, putting fires in your news box. Trapped in the darkness, now we got a new spot. They all say I'm crazy, going insane. But I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious that you think the ones to blame. Cause parents and teachers are one in the same. Your first education starts in the household. Gotta teach the kids, don't sit and keep your mouth closed. Read to and sing to them. It helps their mind grow, so they have a better chance when they let the dice roll. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules. Cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. Guidelines, codex, elementaries. Feed and poison, but won't pay the barriers. 1933, the country went bankrupt. 1935, banks say they own us. Now we're all born with the mark of the beast. Social security number, you better believe that you are private property of the company. So I'ma reclaim myself in the name of peace. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, so you know the old rules. Cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious that you think the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one in the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth.
And they you that wanna take away astrology. The posse commentators, they ain't got no apologies. Now everywhere I go, it's like a dark cloud follows me. Got me starting to think that it's wrong technology. Now they playing God, trying to change the weather. I was stuck in the matrix, still chained together. Didn't beat down, kick, rock, and change the weather. But I'ma see if I can make a change for the better. I'm the best thing ever to happen to the movement. Cause I'ma use my music to bring the youth in. Roundhouse karate, chop the system like Bruce in. Every verse I kick, got me spitting the truth. If you trapped in the box, it's because you own do it. I'm out of this world, you better call on Houston. And all you world leaders, who the hell you think you're fooling? Because you don't give a damn about the state of the union. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth think the ones to blame, because parents and teachers all running the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth think the ones to blame, because when I start to black out, they say Chucky came wrong, but the system won't change, it's the right bed songs. Break the Constitution till the same day gone. I can't believe that slavery lasted this long, and it really hits home when you start to lose jobs. Still looking for the truth, listening to Luke Browns. Grab a megaphone, start yelling at a few snobs. I'm a real patriot, guess what? You're not, and it's getting too hot. Then I saw two cops, gave the Obama deception and say jukebox. They said I sound like Tupac looking at his new watch. Told me I was loitering, I had to move 2 blocks. Had me wrapped up in chains, shut them down with 2 locks. So I had to shake the machine until the screws pop. Run around town, put flyers in your news box, trapped in the darkness. Now we gotta y'all sound crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth think the ones to blame, because parents and teachers all one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth think the ones to blame, because first education starts in the household. Gotta teach the kids, don't sit and keep your mouth closed. Teach to it, sing to them, it helps their mind grow, so they have a better chance when they let the dice roll. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. Guidelines, codex, elementaries. Feed the poison, but won't pay the barriers. 1933, the country went bankrupt. 1935, banks say they own us. Now we all born with the mark of the beast. Social security number, you better believe that you a private property of a company. So I'ma reclaim myself in the name of peace. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, so we know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth think the ones to blame, because parents and teachers all one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth think the ones to blame, because and thank you. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news. You gotta keep the new mix with the old school. New rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. And then you didn't want to take away our sovereignty. No posse commentators, they ain't got no apologies. Now everywhere I go, it's like a dark cloud follows me. Got me starting to think that it's hard technology. Now they play God, trying to change the weather while we stuck in the matrix, still chained together, getting beat down, kicked round, can't change whoever. But I'ma see if I can make a change for the better. I'm the best thing ever to happen to the movement, cause I'ma use my music to bring the youth in. Roundhouse karate, chop the system like Bruce said. Every verse I kick, I'll be spitting the truth. If you're trapped in the box, it's because your own doing. I'm out of this world, you better call on Houston and all your world leaders. Who the hell you think you're fooling? Cause you don't give a damn about the state of the union. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, because when I start a blackout, they say trap you dead wrong, but the system won't change, they still write dead songs. Break the Constitution till the thing dead gone. I can't believe that slavery lasted this long, and it really hits home when you start to lose jobs, still looking for the truth, listening to Lou Dobbs. Grab a megaphone, start yelling at a few snobs. I'm a real patriot, guess what, you are not, and it's getting too hot. Man, I saw two cops, gave the Obama deception and said you watch. They said I sound like Tupac, looking at his new watch. Told me I was loitering, I had to move 2 blocks. Had me wrapped up in chains, shackled down with 2 locks. So I had to shake the machine until the screws pop. Riding around town, putting flyers in your news box. Trapped in the darkness, now we got a new spot. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth until I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, because your first education starts in the household. Gotta teach the kids, don't sit, keep your mouth closed. Read the end, sing to them, it helps their mind grow, so they have a better chance when they let the dice roll. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. Guidelines, codex, alimentarius, feeding us poison but won't pay to bury us. 1933, the country went bankrupt. 1935, banks say they own us. Now we're all born with the mark of the beast. Social security number, you better believe that you are private property of a company. So I'ma reclaim myself in the name of peace. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mix with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the...
That wasn't a bad version, actually.
Let's get the crazy. My episode got a touch shit. They wanna take away our sovereignty. No posse commentators, they ain't got no apologies. Now everywhere I go, it's like a dark cloud follows me. Got me starting to think that it's hard technology. Tell they playing God, trying to change the weather while we stuck in the matrix, still chained together, getting beat down, kick around, can't change whoever. But I'ma see if I can make a change for the better. I'm the best thing ever to happen to the movement, cause I'ma use my music to bring the youth in. Roundhouse karate, chop the system like Bruce in. Every verse I kick, I'll be spitting the truth. If you're trapped in the box, it's because you're on through it. I'm out of this world, you better call on Houston and all your world leaders. Who the hell you think you're fooling? Cause you don't give a damn about the state of the union. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth think the ones to blame, cause when I started blacked out, they say trap you're dead wrong, but the system won't change. They still writing dead songs. Break the Constitution till the thing dead gone. I can't believe that slavery lasted this long, and it really hits home when you start to lose jobs. Still looking for the truth, listening to loot dogs. Grab a megaphone, start yelling at a few snobs. I'm a real patriot. Guess what? You are not. And it's getting too hot, man. I saw 2 cops gave the Obama deception and said you watch. They said I sound like Tupac. Looking at his new watch, told me I was loitering. I had to move 2 blocks, had me wrapped up in chains, shackled down with 2 locks. So I had to shake the machine until the screws pop. Riding around town, putting flyers in your news box. Trapped in the darkness, now we got a new spot. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause your first education starts in the household. Gotta teach the kids, don't sit and keep your mouth closed. Read to get seen to them. It helps their mind grow so they have a better chance when they let the dice roll. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mixed with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. Guidelines, codex, alimentarius, feeding us poison but won't pay to bury us. 1933, the country went bankrupt. 1935, banks say they own us. Now we're all born with the mark of the beast. Social security number, you better believe that you are private property of a company. So I'ma reclaim myself in the name of peace. Everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mixed with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause everything is internet, hardbacks are old news, but you gotta keep the new mixed with the old school. Got a lot of new laws, hope you know the old rules, cause a young dummy only grows into an old fool. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause parents and teachers are one and the same. They all say I'm crazy, going insane, but I'ma speak the truth till I see some change. It's obvious the youth ain't the ones to blame, cause
that wasn't a bad version either. The wording isn't right on just one fucking part. Your one word is off, and it's killing me. Look, the first time around, like 3 words are off, and then I thought I fixed all of them, and didn't. Damn it! And I've already run out of credits for the day. I did get like another good version of that other track. Whatever that other track is. I think we're getting close to finalizing a lot of this stuff. I've been sharing it, a lot of them with a lot of different people, getting feedback from various people. And the other day, actually, like last weekend, I downloaded all the tracks that I have onto my laptop. Like you can download them and upload them to YouTube. And I sat there and thought about it for a minute before I upload. I was like, let me wait to upload these tracks because, like I'm doing now, I can probably keep playing around with the generator and make like better, more decent versions. And plus, like I said, in a few of the tracks, the wording isn't right, and that's because of the way I inputted it. I just typed it in wrong or spelt it wrong or added a word where it shouldn't be or the wrong word. So now I'm gonna just go back and kind of like keep rolling them. I'm gonna keep the first version that I really liked on that mix, but I'm definitely gonna try to get like different versions of some of these songs, better versions, better, bigger and better. I need more paint. Warning, troll detected in the stream. Laura Croft and me. sat on here looking like a okay. Leave him. Did you chop his head already, or did you leave him in there? That Lord Croft, he's been around for a while. Wait, for a while. You'll be alright, buddy. I love when people hate on the art. You know, nobody invited you here. You came here on your own free will and accord. In a Honda Accord. In a Taurus by Ford. A 4-door 94 Ford Taurus. You know? Your presence was not requested. And now you start looking so messy. I'm gonna have to kick your balls like I'm messy. And all the blood to make everything messy. I guess he didn't realize that I had a whole team. Okay. I need more paint again. I gotta add some of this purple.
Easy sounds in here.
Today, the Matt Walsh Show, only a few days after the extreme incompetence of the Secret Service, or something more sinister than that, nearly got Donald Trump killed, the Secret Service is focused on what really matters, mean comments about their female agents. The agency isn't trying to figure out how and why they failed to prevent an assassination attempt. Instead, they're busy valiantly defending their own diversity initiatives. Also, J.D. Vance delivers his speech at the Republican convention. We'll play one important moment from that speech. And now hosts on MSNBC are floating the idea that Trump staged the shooting himself, in spite of how incoherent that theory is. And the calls for Biden to step down have reached a fever pitch. I will do something unexpected today and make the case that Biden should stay in this race. I am riding with Biden. We'll talk about all that and more today on the Matt Walsh Show. thing is clear in the 2024 election. The fight for America's core values is more important than ever. The Daily Wire is on the front lines of that fight, but we can't win without you. Join us right now. We're offering 47% off annual memberships. Go to dailywire.com and use promo code FIGHT at checkout. You've heard me say for a long time that cell phone service with Pure Talk is half the cost of Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. You might be thinking, what's the catch? There's no way Pure Talk can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $20 a month. Well, I say, just ask the thousands of my other listeners who have already switched. They are loving America's most dependable 5G network. They love Pure Talk's U.S. customer service, their selection of premium phones, and the money that they're saving month to month. So what are you waiting for? It's time to start supporting companies who share your values, like creating American jobs and supporting our veterans. It's time to switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk. Plus, with no contract and a 30-day money-back guarantee, you've got nothing to lose. Visit puretalk.com/Walsh to upgrade your cell phone service to America's most dependable 5G network and save an extra 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Walsh today. I'll begin today with some breaking news. The Secret Service has finally come out and explained in detail how they allowed Donald Trump to get shot in the head on Saturday. They've released a thorough explanation for why exactly the slope of the roof 140 yards away from the stage was in fact insurmountable for even the most skilled Secret Service sniper or special agent. They articulated very clearly why they didn't pull Donald Trump off the stage, even after they saw the shooter behaving suspiciously, equipped with a rangefinder, before they somehow lost track of him several times over. It's now abundantly clear exactly why the DHS secretary says that he has 100% confidence in the director of the Secret Service, even after all of this happened. All of our questions have been answered. Or maybe not. Actually, they still haven't explained any of that. But on the bright side, the Secret Service did come out and address the most important issue surrounding Saturday's assassination attempt by far. And that issue is that people have been very mean to the Secret Service on the internet. People have even put out tweets that are critical of the fact that the Secret Service had female agents, quote unquote, protecting Donald Trump, despite the fact that they weren't tall enough to cover his head. Can you imagine the indecency of it all? The Secret Service, they can't. I mean, it's one thing for a guy to shoot a presidential candidate on live television, but for people to say rude things on social media, well, I mean, that's just a bridge too far. And that's why the Secret Service just sent a statement to NBC News explaining, quote, "We stand united against any attempt to discredit our personnel and their invaluable contributions to our mission, and are appalled by the disparaging and disgusting comments against any of our personnel. As an elite law enforcement agency, all of our agents and officers are highly trained and fully capable of performing our missions. It is an insult to the women of our agency to imply that they are unqualified based on gender. Such baseless assertions undermine the professionalism, dedication, and expertise of our workforce." Yes, this is the priority of the Secret Service, just 3 days after they allowed the leading presidential candidate to get shot in the head during a political rally that they were in charge of securing. This is what they're concerned about: the feelings of their female agents. They're not appalled by their unprecedented security failures, which very nearly changed the course of U.S. history. They're not appalled by their completely incoherent excuses about a sloped roof and a lack of manpower. They're not appalled by the total destruction of the Secret Service's reputation as a competent federal agency. None of that appalls the Secret Service. What really bothers them are mean tweets about their female agents. Now, a couple of things about this. First of all, every criticism of the female agents on Trump's security detail is accurate. These are all fair criticisms. On the day of the assassination attempt, as I've covered before, one female agent cowered behind the pile of agents protecting Trump. Another female agent clearly struggled to cover Trump's head as he stood up because she wasn't tall enough. And none of the male agents have this problem, but the female agent clearly can't cover Trump's face even if she wanted to. It's painful to watch. And then, of course, as the SUV carrying Trump pulled away, the female agents had trouble holstering their weapons. They started messing with their sunglasses. They were looking around frantically. They had no idea what they were doing. None of them appeared to have any idea what they were supposed to do. It was like they were cosplaying Secret Service agents. It looked like they had been pulled off the street that morning and recruited into Trump's security detail without any prior training at all. Now, I've shown all this footage before, but it bears repeating because the Secret Service is now pretending that none of this is an issue. They're saying that you're a bigot if you notice the problem. Now, they clearly don't believe that. They know that female agents aren't as effective. That's why when Trump appeared at the RNC in his first public appearance after the shooting, he was surrounded by men who were actually tall enough and strong enough to protect him. There were no short females in his detail anymore, or any females at all, because they understand that women can't do the job as well as men, period. But the Secret Service is choosing to use the shield of identity politics anyway, because, as always, it helps distract from their own failures and their own mediocrity. This is always the reason that identity politics is deployed, and especially by government agencies, and this is no exception. They would rather accuse their critics of hating women instead of reckoning with their own incompetence, which appears more and more to be willful and malicious with each passing day. And the corporate press, of course, is doing the Fed's bidding. The Financial Times reported, quote, Secret Service target of misogynistic backlash after Donald Trump assassination attempt. The New York Times added, quote, the rush by conservatives to pin blame for the shooting on women in the protective detail reflects a broader opposition among Republicans to diversity efforts in hiring. The Washington Post complained, right-wing influencers used Trump assassination attempt to attack DEI. Well, you know, I thought that a former president getting shot was pretty bad. But if it leads to attacks on DEI, then it's way worse than I thought. Now, the Post did single me out with in their article with this paragraph, quote, far-right influencer Matt Walsh posted a video featuring female Secret Service agents gathering around Trump after the attack with the caption, there should not be any women in the Secret Service. These are supposed to be the very best, and none of the very best at this job are women. Now, according to the Post, which cited experts in what? I don't know, experts in mean tweets, I guess. These experts say that tweets like mine are an attempt to, quote, generate social media attention and outrage. They also say that I'm trying to, quote, undermine DEI. And that part is true, I admit. What's interesting about these attacks is that, of course, they're commenting on my motivations. They're pretending they can read my mind and that they've determined that my outrage over a presidential candidate getting shot can't possibly be genuine. So that's that. They're not actually addressing what I said because they know that I'm right. They know that all of us raising this concern are right. Here's what none of these articles and valiant defenses of the female agents have done or can do. Actually defend the proposition that Trump was safer with females in his security detail than he would have been if it was only men. Now, to be clear, I'm not suggesting that if one woman agent on stage had been replaced by a male agent that Trump would not have been shot. I'm not saying that more men would have definitely prevented this from happening, although it's quite possible. I'm saying that these female agents constitute an obvious security vulnerability, one among many. And because the Secret Service put them out there on the stage on Saturday, it raises obvious questions about their ability to competently protect Donald Trump or anyone else. I'm not going to just ignore a glaring sign of incompetence that's front and center on live television. If there's glaring incompetence, if it even is incompetence, by the way, which not something more sinister again, but if there's glaring incompetence to that degree, there's glaring incompetence at every other layer of the agency too. That's a pretty safe assumption, and the Secret Service has done absolutely nothing to dispel that assumption in the days since the shooting. Here's the crucial point. The fact that they are going out of their way to recruit women in the name of diversity shows where their priorities lie. It only makes them less capable of doing the job they're supposed to do, but even more to the point, it means they are fundamentally focused on the wrong things. Consider, for example, what the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, has been saying since Saturday. She's best known for her promise that 30% of the Secret Service's workforce would be female by 2030. First, she came out and said that the roof was too sloped for agents to stand on top of, which makes no sense for a million reasons. And by the way, she's really not helping her case for including women in the agency when she says stuff like that. Like looking up at a roof and deciding that you can't put snipers on it because it's slightly sloped and somebody might slip is the kind of thing that your mom might do. Hey, you boys come down from there and put those guns away. You're going to hurt yourself. Then in an interview yesterday, Cheadle defended the security plan that left the roof completely exposed. She also refused to explain how exactly the agency had supposedly beefed up security after an alleged threat against Trump from Iran. Watch.
Was that perimeter too small?
The perimeter encompassed the area that we needed to secure for the event that we had on that day. what happened is a terrible incident and should never happen, and we are obviously going to make sure that moving forward, we take whatever lessons that come out of this and adjust accordingly.
Was every element, every part of his, from the intelligence to the counter assault team, to the detail agents, the shift agents, I mean every element top to bottom of the advance in the operation, was every element increased after you learned of this credible threat?
What we increased was what we felt was appropriate for the former president and for that particular event on that day. We have been increasing the assets and the resources and the staffing that we have been providing to the former president since he was a presidential candidate and then the presumptive nominee. That's what I can tell you.
That sounds like enough.
I am not saying a no at all. I'm saying that we have continued to increase the resources that we've been providing to the former president.
The perimeter encompassed the area that we needed to secure for the event that we had on that day. That's what she said. That's her response when she's asked why the secure perimeter didn't include a building directly across from Trump. But obviously the perimeter didn't encompass the area they needed to secure because a gunman managed to climb on the roof and fire several shots without anyone stopping him. Then she goes on to completely fail to explain how the agency supposedly stepped up its security following this supposed Iranian threat. And that's probably because security was not stepped up in any way. But for a moment, let's give this woman the benefit of the doubt, which she obviously doesn't deserve. But let's pretend that the security was indeed stepped up to the max. And let's recap how exactly this stepped up security failed, since the details get crazier with each passing out. So now we're learning that the shooter was at the rally a full 3 hours before he shot Trump. He was at the rally and on the radar of the security team 3 hours ahead of time. And then at 5:10 p.m., authorities identified him as a person of interest. That's their phrasing. At 5:30 p.m., he was spotted again with a rangefinder. He was then observed, quote, furiously checking his phone and operating the rangefinder, according to the Daily Mail. The Secret Service noticed this and kept an eye on him. But apparently they lost track of where he was, and multiple times, in fact, through this whole process, they kept seeing him and said, "This guy's weird," and then he would leave and they would lose track of him, and then they'd see him again, lose track of him again. And then the shooter was caught on film an hour before the assassination attempt, casing the building that he would later climb to shoot Trump. Watch. So you can see the guy's clearly by himself, acting strangely as he cases the building. And then 40 minutes before the shooting, law enforcement spotted the shooter appearing to crawl on the ground while scouring the area. This was suspicious enough that they took a photograph, they circulated the photograph, tagging him as a suspicious person. But again, they apparently lost track of him. And again, that wasn't the end of it. The Secret Service also, and listen to this part, because I think this is the newest detail that is just mind-boggling. The Secret Service saw the gunman on the rooftop at 5:52 p.m. At 6:02 p.m., Trump took the stage. Shots were fired at 6:12 p.m. In other words, as ABC News reported, quote, 20 minutes passed between the time U.S. Secret Service snipers first spotted the gunman on a rooftop and the time shots were fired at the former president. So, to reiterate here, this is a suspicious person who's already been identified as a person of interest with a rangefinder who is on top of a roof looking down directly at the stage where Donald Trump is about to speak. And still they didn't secure the roof or delay the rally. Like, even if you ignore the 3 hours prior to this, when they could have detained the shooter, on dozens of different occasions, they had three hours to detain him, and they didn't. Well, even if you pretend none of that happened, they still had 20 minutes when he was on the roof, and they did nothing. In fact, this guy, who'd already been identified as a person of interest, again, was on the roof 10 minutes before Trump even took the stage. So at a minimum, it would have taken them no effort at all, and there would have been no risk involved. Quite the opposite, it's a mitigation of risk if they had just delayed Trump coming out until they investigated. They could have at least said, there's a guy on the roof. That's strange. What's he doing up there? hey, let's keep the former president from taking the stage while we go over and check this thing out. But they didn't do that. Then shortly before the shooting started, people in the crowd saw the man on the roof. I've played several of those videos before. The crowd began calling to police officers nearby. Now we're learning exactly when that happened in the chronology of events that day. As the Washington Post reports, quote, the shots began 86 seconds after the first audible attempts to alert police, according to the analysis, which synchronized several clips based on the sound of Trump's voice over the public address system.
Thicker, fuller hair starts with Hims. Discover sprays, chews, and serums made with clinically proven ingredients to stop hair loss, regrow hair, or do both. At Hims.com, answer a few questions online and regrow your hair in 3 to 6 months. Join millions of satisfied Hims customers and get your confidence back. Regrow your hair with doctor-trusted treatments. Get started today at Hims.com.
Dirk Bentley, Gravel and Gold Tour. Live at the Pavilion at Montage Mountain on Friday, July 19th with Chase Rice.
So I'll say that again. The shots began 86 seconds after the first audible attempts to alert police. All that needed to happen in those 86 seconds was for the officer to get on the radio and say there's a suspicious person on the roof, get Trump off the stage. Or he could have directed the counter snipers to look for the person and identify the specific roof. Instead, once again, nothing happened. No one stopped the shooter until Trump was shot first. The only explanation for these events, outside of the possibility that the Secret Service deliberately intended for Trump to get shot, which is not by any means a crazy thing to believe, outside of that, the only other explanation is incompetence of a staggering, historic degree. The only conceivable way this assassination attempt happens, excluding malice, is if people who have no idea what they're doing, who were not chosen based on merit, were put in jobs they can't possibly perform. And through its explicit DEI policies, the dramatically lowered physical fitness standards for women, the hiring quotas, the special push for more LGBTQ agents, and so on, the Secret Service has made it abundantly clear that it doesn't care about merit. Instead, the agency cares about politics and appearances. That's the reason for the DEI hiring. That's the reason they're appalled by mean tweets like mine. And it's the reason Donald Trump was just shot in the face. And why U.S. history very nearly changed forever. Now let's get to our 5 headlines. My days are incredibly full between the show, being a dad, and various other responsibilities. I can't keep up with my day if I don't get a good night's sleep, which is why I appreciate my Helix mattress. Helix harnesses years of mattress expertise to offer a truly elevated sleep experience. The Helix Elite Collection includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for specific sleep positions and firmness preferences. If you're nervous about buying a mattress online, you don't have to be. Helix has a sleep quiz that matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress, because why would you buy a mattress made for somebody else? Helix knows there's no better way to test out a new mattress than by sleeping on it yourself at your own home, and that's why they offer a 100-night trial and a 10 to 15-year warranty. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix's financing options and flexible payment plans make it so that a great night's sleep is never far away. For a limited time, Helix is offering up to 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for my listeners. Just go to helixsleep.com/Walsh. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. That's helixsleep.com/Walsh. With Helix, better sleep starts now. In with the Republican convention. By the way, let me just say, because I've been asked this a bunch of times actually, the Daily Wire is at the convention this week. I'm not there only because I'm at the lake with my family this month. And if the convention was any other month, I'd be there. Can't miss family time though, and also my kids would, murder me if I said I was leaving to go to a political convention this week. Maybe not murder me, but they'd be really sad, and I'd feel guilty. So that's why I'm not there. But anyway, the convention continues, and even without my presence somehow. J.D. Vance spoke last night, and I want to play, I thought it was a good speech. I want to play one clip in particular from that speech that I thought was pretty important. Listen to this.
Now that's Kentucky coal country, one of the 10 Now, it's one of the 10 poorest counties in the entire United States of America. They're very hardworking people, and they're very good people. They're the kind of people who would give you the shirt off their back even if they can't afford enough to eat. And our media calls them privileged and looks down on them. But they love this country, not only because it's a good idea, but because in their bones they know that this is their home. And it will be their children's home, and they would die fighting to protect it. That is the source of America's greatness. As a United States Senator, I get to represent millions of people in the great state of Ohio with similar stories, and it is the great honor of my life. Now, in that cemetery, there are people who were born around the time of the Civil War. And if, as I hope, my wife and I are eventually laid to rest there, and our kids follow us, there will be 7 generations just in that small mountain cemetery plot in eastern Kentucky. 7 generations of people who have fought for this country, who have built this country, who have made things in this country, and who would fight and die to protect this country if they were asked to. Now that's not just an idea, my friends. That's not just a set of principles. Even though the ideas and the principles are great, that is a homeland. That is our homeland.
Try and take her on walks, and she would refuse to go. It was a chore to get her to go outside and even use the bathroom. We tried the farmer's dog, and within a week, she's doing zoomies around the backyard after going on a 3-mile hike. We coined the phrase that she was drinking from the fountain of youth. It is great.
That's about 2 minutes, and this section of the speech was 4 or 5 minutes. It's worth going and watching the whole thing if you didn't see it. His point, as you heard, is that America is not just an idea, which is something that we hear a lot, that America is an idea, but it's not just that. It's not just an abstraction. It is our home, and we should love and cherish it for that reason. And our leaders should put America first for that reason. This is a very simple point that he's making, but it's incredibly important. And it's the kind of simple but important point that you don't often hear from politicians. You don't hear it from Democrats at all, ever. You don't hear it from Republicans very often either. But there's a certain power just in that statement alone. America is our homeland. Calling it that. It should not be even notable for a politician to say something like that. For a politician to say, America is our home, right? This is where we were born and raised. This is where our families are from. This is where our ancestors are from, right? America is our home. There should be nothing surprising about a politician saying. It should be really boring to hear them say things like that. But that's not the case in modern American culture. Because we have been, there's this idea that's been ingrained in so many people for so many years that America is not really anyone in particular's home. It's just that. It's like it's an idea. It's not even an idea. It's just it's something that anyone, even to call it an idea at this point, is that's too solid of a thing for a lot of people. So the idea is that America is just it's a place at most, and it's a place that anyone can come, and once they come to that place, they are there, and they're there in the same way that anyone else is there. But that's not the case. It is a home, and it's important to hear him say that. And these convention speeches are not meant to be necessarily insightful and interesting. They're rallying cries. These are they're the kinds of speeches, as you heard, where people interject with applause every 5 seconds, and That's all great. That's the style. That's the genre. That's what these conventions are for. But even if the speech is going to mostly be red meat applause lines, it's still important to say something, and Vance said something here, which I really appreciate. And it's one of the reasons why I say that J.D. Vance he's certainly the best VP pick of my lifetime, hands down. It's a low bar, granted. I mean, who's he competing against? Mike Pence, Paul Ryan, Sarah Palin. That's just this century. Dick Cheney. Just counting the Republicans. And not only is he the best VP pick of all of them, but he has the chance of being the first of that bunch to actually become president. I'll say that. So I thought it was an excellent speech. And as I said, I think a few days ago, this is also the first time in my life when I think we can say that the Republican Party has a bench. There's people waiting on the bench. There's J.D. Vance, there's Ron DeSantis, Vivek, and not just them, but and maybe more to come out of the woodwork. But it's the first time when you can point to several people and say, okay, well, here are people that we can pass the torch to. Now, we talked about the left-wing conspiracy theories surrounding the shooting, that it was staged somehow, that Trump was in on it. And it isn't just the crazies on TikTok that are floating this idea. It's also crazies with cable news shows who are suggesting this. For instance, we have Joy Reid. Let's watch.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew. That there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times, aggressively pursuing his medical records? It's just weird. Just a strange thing that I've noticed. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it too, but it's weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. What's under the bandage? We have no idea. Except for the approximately 10 billion photographs of it. All the photos that we all saw of his bleeding, injured ear. Aside from the fact that this might be the most documented injury of all time, the injury to his ear might be the most widely viewed injury ever in history. And except for that, we have no idea. We don't know. What's the injury? It's a bullet. It's a wound. You can see it. What do you mean? What else do you need to know? There's not a lot to say about it, aside from what you saw. Fortunately, it did just hit his ear. It's not because it's not one of those things where okay, if he had been shot in the stomach, God forbid, and survived, then it wouldn't be enough to just say, oh, he was shot in the stomach. There's organs. There's all kinds of stuff. We need to know how bad is the injury. What's the extent of the injury? So it's a much more complicated injury. An injury to an ear, thank God, ends up being much more minor and more simple. And they tell us his ear was injured. We all saw the photograph. I don't know what more information you need. What else do you need to know about it? So she's doing the classic coy conspiracy theorist thing that people like her usually complain about. Hey, I'm just asking questions, man. I'm just asking questions. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions, right? We have no problem with asking questions. But you obviously are implying certain possibilities. So just come out and say it. You're implying certain things. Have the guts to say what you mean. Joy Reid thinks the shooting might have been staged. That's what she's saying. She's too cowardly to just come out and say it, but that is what she's saying. Now, I believe that there could be conspiracies related to this shooting. Not that Trump staged them. It's not conspiracies Trump was involved in. He was the target of the conspiracies, if there was a conspiracy. And I believe that, but I have no problem coming out and saying it. I think it's possible the Secret Service and or other agencies and entities in the federal government were in on it. I think it's possible that they weren't directly in on it, but were intentionally lax in their security because they hoped that this might happen. I don't know that, but that's one theory that I am entertaining. Many of us are entertaining, and we will say it. We're not being coy about it. We're saying, hey, what if this is the case? Are we sure that it isn't? The other thing about our theories, along with the fact that we will say them, is that they make sense, given the facts on the ground. Joy Reid's theory makes no sense. Now, if she's simply suggesting, because there's kind of two theories that she's, not just her, right? But there are two theories that they're kind of floating while being too chicken to actually say them out loud. And one is that he was hit by broken glass or something, but Trump doesn't want to tell us that because it's not as dramatic of a story, and so he wants everyone to think that he was hit by a bullet, but he really wasn't. Now, I don't think that's true at all. I think that's nonsense. It's at least a relatively coherent, nonsensical theory. It's a coherent theory. We understand what the theory is. It doesn't work. I mean, if he was hit, it doesn't work for a lot of reasons. But let's start with this. Like, what we can see of the injury, we saw the ear injured, and now there's the bandage, and all that makes sense. Hey, why is he wearing a bandage? What are you trying to hide under there, huh? I don't know. He was shot in the ear like 4 days ago? You want him to not wear a bandage? But anyway, that is more consistent with a bullet wound than it is with shards of glass. Because if he was hit by flying shards of broken glass, you would expect more visible injuries than the bullet. A bullet can graze your ear. That's a thing that can happen, which is what happened. Flying shards of glass, if they hit your ear, they're probably going to hit the whole side of your face. Like, how would shards of glass only hit the tip of your ear? So it doesn't really work. But she goes beyond that, obviously. She's clearly suggesting that the whole thing may have been staged in some way, which is totally bonkers. Although she is right about one thing. The reaction from the Secret Service is weird. We can agree on that. It's very weird, both before and after. We've talked about the issues before, even after. It took them way too long to get him out of there. Why? Well, again, whatever conspiracy theory that leads you to, it cannot be one where Trump is the mastermind. Because, to begin with, this is Biden's Secret Service that we're talking about here. This is the Secret Service under Biden. So what, is the Biden administration conspiring with Trump to elect him president? What kind of a ridiculous excuse for a conspiracy theory is that, exactly? Now, if you want to go this route, you have to ask, who stands to gain from Trump getting hit in the head with a bullet? Trump only gains from it on the very insanely small chance that the bullet hits one of the very few little portions of your head that won't kill you if you're hit with a bullet. That's what happened, but the chances are so low that it obviously couldn't have been his idea to do this. Like 99 times out of 100, if you shoot a guy in the head and make contact from 450 feet out with an AR-15, you're going to kill him, or at least you're going to cause a significant incapacitating injury. So, who stands to gain from shooting Trump in the head? Who would say to themselves ahead of time, you know, it would be great if Trump was shot in the head? Trump isn't going to say that. I don't think that's something Trump's going to say to himself. There's really no conceivable universe where Trump is standing up on stage delivering a speech, hoping that someone shoots him in the head, much less arranging for that to happen to him. So if we are speculating about forces beyond just the shooter being involved in this thing, then again, the first thing you have to ask is, well, who would want that? Who are the people who, you arrange your suspects, just like any, it's like in any murder investigation, right? You don't know who all involved, who all was involved. Well, the first thing detectives are asking themselves is, who has a motive? Who would want to do this? Let's start with them. Doesn't mean they're all guilty, doesn't mean any of them are guilty, but we got to start with who would conceivably want this to happen to this person. And if you do the same thing with this, it leads you in directions, but they all point to, Joy Reid's side of the aisle. All right, here's something extremely depressing for you, just what you were hoping for. I'm going to read now from MSN about the first euthanasia pods set to be rolled out in Switzerland very soon, okay? And just listen to this and keep in mind that this is real. You might have your doubts about that as I read, because the dystopian horror is so on the nose, you might think this is something from a sci-fi novel, but it's not. It's real. Okay.
Will you just shut up for a minute and let me tell you?
Do you believe this? We gotta be better than that. I work with both sides to expand veteran.
An assisted dying group expects a portable suicide pod to be used for the first time in Switzerland, potentially within months, providing death without medical supervision, it said Wednesday. The space-age looking Sarco capsule, first unveiled in 2019, replaces the oxygen inside it with nitrogen, causing death by hypoxia. It would cost $20 to use. The Last Resort organization said it saw no legal obstacle to its use in Switzerland, where the law generally allows assisted suicide if the person commits the lethal act themselves. The Last Resort's chief executive, Florian Willett, told a press conference, quote, since we have people indeed queuing up asking to use the Sarco, it's very likely that it will take place pretty soon. I cannot imagine a more beautiful way to die of breathing air without oxygen until falling into an eternal sleep, he added. The person wishing to die must first pass a psychiatric assessment of their mental capacity, a key legal requirement. The person climbs into the purple capsule, closes the lid, and is asked automated questions such as who they are, where they are, and if they know what happens when they press the button. If you want to die, the voice says in the processor, press this button. Once the button is pressed, the amount of oxygen in the air plummets from 21% to 0.05% in less than 30 seconds. One of the guys in charge of this company says, once you press that button, there's no way of going back. So once you press it, you can't. If you change your mind, too late. A couple of other important notes here. First of all, the article mentions that the pods can be reused. So that's a cost-saving measure. If you want euthanasia on a budget, then you can always get a hand-me-down euthanasia pod. Head over to the consignment shop and grab one on clearance. Lightly used euthanasia pod for sale. Also, if you're wondering what Sarco means, it's short for sarcophagus. So nothing creepy about that, of course. It's not like this is deeply, deeply unsettling at all. Now, as it says in the article, this is supposed to make the process much more peaceful and welcoming. And the problem with that is that, to begin with, that's the opposite of what we should be trying to do. If somebody is at this point mentally and emotionally, psychologically, where they would be considering something like this, the issue for them isn't that the process of ending their own life is uncomfortable. The issue is that they want to end their life in the first place. making it more comfortable for them to do it is not the solution. The solution is to help them not to die, but to live. This is a very basic concept here. This is the number one reason why I'm against euthanasia. Okay, it's the wrong kind of help. We need to help people to live, not to die. And also, if the goal is to make ending your own life more appealing, which is an awful, evil goal to have, but if it is, how the hell is a sarcophagus pod that you can't escape once you go in? That's more peaceful. That's more. Like, how does that accomplish the goal of making this all seem more pleasant? In fact, of all the ways to go, to me, this sounds like maybe the most terrifying. And this is what happens the more you try to sanitize this kind of thing. In our culture of death, this is what we do. We sanitize death. Rather than embracing life, finding meaning in life, helping others to find meaning, we try to make death seem more appealing. But you can't really make death seem appealing because death is an ugly, brutal thing, right? Dying is an ugly and brutal thing no matter what. It just is. So instead they settle for, rather than making it appealing, which you can't, they settle for something sterile and sanitized and medicalized. Which if anything makes the whole matter more terrible than it was before. But this is what they're rolling out. It starts in Switzerland, then it's going to end up in Canada, and then from there, the rest of the Western world eventually. We can be pretty sure of that. All right, CNBC has this article. The evidence linking smartphone use with mental health harms in children is growing, and one grassroots organization in the UK is supporting parents who are refraining from giving their kids the devices. Smartphone-free childhood, founded by Daisy Greenwell and Claire Fenihoff in February, Fenihoff probably, I don't know, set up various group chats for parents locally across the UK and grew to over 60,000 members in a few weeks, according to its website. Interest in the movement is driven by concerns about the normalization of children with smartphones. By the age of 12, 97% of children in the UK have a mobile phone. 97% by 12. Meanwhile, in the US, 42% of children had a smartphone by the age of 10, climbing to 91% by the age of 14. Parents are giving their children smartphones in an increasingly online world for various reasons, including entertainment purposes, to keep track of their location, to stay in touch with them when they leave the home. However, studies and experts highlight this as opening up the door to possible mental health harms. So now there's this movement away from it. There's one portion of this that I wanted to read. It says, young people reported worse mental health outcomes the earlier they acquired a smartphone, according to a Sapien Labs study published last year. The study used data from 27,969 18 to 24-year-olds, which was obtained between January and April 2023 across 41 countries. This is what it says. Some 74% of female respondents who got their first smartphone at age 6 reported feeling distressed or struggling per the study. However, this decreased to 61% for those who acquired their first smartphone at age 10 and 52% for those who were aged 15. For male respondents, the percentage feeling distressed or struggling reduced from 42% for those who got their first smartphone at age 6 to 36% for those who got their first smartphone at age 18. Okay, now, it's no surprise that kids who get their first smartphone at age 6 would report negative mental health outcomes. And I will say that, you know, there's more to that story. A child who gets a smartphone at 6 years old has terrible parents in general. So the fact that they, you know, have poor mental health is partly due to the phone, and it's partly due to the fact that their parents are awful across the board, right? And kids with awful parents tend to suffer mentally and emotionally. So that's part of what's going on. Because just think about that. I know this is not the majority of kids getting smartphones at 6, but 6 years old? 6? You're giving your kid a smartphone? We need to shame parents who give children smartphones at that young of an age. To the same extent that we would shame them for giving a 6-year-old, a shot of whiskey or a loaded gun, because you're giving them something that can only harm them. And anytime a parent does that, that's abuse. You're doing something to your child, or you're providing them with something that can only cause harm. That's the only possibility here. That's abusive. That's a form of abuse. There's just no world where they grow up and become adults and end up in a better place and are better and happier people because they've been using a smartphone since they were 6 years old. That just can't happen. It can only harm them. And why are you doing it? Why are you giving a child that young a smartphone? Well, the article suggests some reasons that want to keep in touch with them. Right? You got to keep in touch with your 6-year-old? Is it that difficult to stay in touch with your 6-year-old child? You want to know where they are. Again, it should not be difficult to know where your 6-year-old child is without a smartphone. But that's not really it, right? Because when parents are asked this, so why'd you give your kid a smartphone? That's what they're going to say, because they're not going to give the honest answer, which is that if you give your kid a smartphone at 6 or even older, you're doing it because you don't want to deal with them, right? You just don't want to deal with your kid, and that's why you're doing it. And this is the kind of terrifying truth about some parents out there, and not just a few, that they just don't want anything to do with their own kids. They don't want to raise their kids. They don't want to spend time with their kids. They don't want to play with their kids. They don't want to talk to their kids. They don't want to read to them. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to engage with their kids. They just don't want to. So they want the kid to go away and be occupied by something else. And, why even have kids if that's the case? If you have no desire to actually raise a child, then why did you have kids to begin with? Good question. Fortunately, there's this movement in the opposite direction too, and it's a movement that every parent should be a part of. And there's a gray area here. I'll admit that. It's you're probably not going to bring your child all the way into adulthood without them ever owning a smartphone. Certainly they're going to own a phone of some kind before then. And it is true that you want to, the difficulty here is that you want to introduce them. If you don't introduce them to this technology, then they'll be introduced to it on their own out in the world, and you'd rather introduce it yourself to maybe help train them to have good habits related to this technology. And so you can have some discussion about when is best to start that process. But 6 years old ain't it. 10 years old, not it. Right? Pretty clear. Like many of you this summer, I intend to spend more time with my family, getting outside, traveling, letting go of some of my routine. But one routine I won't be letting go of is my prayer routine. I'll continue my daily habit of prayer with Hallow, #1 prayer app in the world. This month, Hallow will be launching a new challenge, Witness to Hope, the life of St. John Paul II. Guided by Jim Caviezel, Monsignor Shea, and Jackie Angel, this challenge walks through the life of this incredible saint, from his childhood in Poland, living through Nazi occupation, to his religious life during the Cold War, and his papacy at the turn of the millennium. Learn what St. John Paul II meant when he said, "There is no evil to be faced that Christ does not face with us. There is no enemy that Christ has not already conquered. There is no cross to bear that Christ has not already carried for us, does not bear with us now. Be not afraid." You can download the app for free at hallow.com/Matt Walsh. Set prayer reminders and track your progress along the way. Hallow is truly transformative. It will help you connect with your faith on a deeper level. So what are you waiting for? Download the Hallow app today at hallow.com/Matt Walsh. Hallow.com/Matt Walsh for an exclusive 3-month free trial of all 6,000 prayers and meditations. Actively trying to destroy everything that makes this country great, and the 2024 election is our last chance to stop them. With Daily Wire, we're not just complaining about it, we're actually doing something, and now we're giving you a chance to join the fight. Here's the deal. 47% off annual Daily Wire Plus memberships. Why 47%? Because in a few hours, the guy who's going to be our 47th president is accepting the GOP nomination. Connect the dots. That's where we get the number from. This is your ticket to content that actually tells the truth. A concept that mainstream media abandoned years ago. With this membership, you get shows that don't bow to the woke mob, podcasts that challenge left's insanity, and news that isn't filtered through a socialist lens. Go to dailywire.com, use code FIGHT at checkout to get 47% off with our presidential deal. Let's prepare while you're deciding. The left is plotting their next move to undermine our values. We cannot afford to sit on the sidelines. Go to dailywire.com, use code FIGHT, and save 47% and join us as we fight the left and build the future. Now let's get to our daily cancellation.
All you gotta do is
Oh, you've never used samples like this before. This is Arcade, the ultimate sample plugin. You can play, edit, and manipulate any sound all within one plugin. Honestly, it's more like an instrument rather than a huge list of samples. Let me just show you. Instead of scrolling...
You know, there are some people whom I consider me to be slightly right of center in my politics. I admit that. But even so, today, in the name of bipartisanship, a value that, as you know, I hold near and dear to my heart, I feel called to defend President Joe Biden. Unlike so many others, I think Joe Biden should stay in this race. He should soldier on, and I want to explain why. Now, as you probably noticed, this has been an incredibly bad week for Biden, which is a change of pace from last week, which was extremely bad for Biden, and that, of course, was a major shift from the week before, which was stupendously bad. It's been different flavors of bad for quite some time. And this week, Biden tried to turn things around with a few public appearances and interviews, but it didn't help much because, according to many of his critics, he performed poorly, mostly due to his inability to say, words. On Wednesday, high-ranking Democrat Adam Schiff joined the chorus calling for Biden to drop out of the race. On the same day, according to a report by ABC, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer also privately urged Biden to step aside. And this comes in the same week when a major poll finds that half of Democrat voters don't believe that Biden is mentally fit to be president. And then with the other half, only half of them are extremely confident in his mental fitness. The other half of that half are only somewhat confident. So to them, he might be mentally fit, or he might have the sentience of a sea sponge. They aren't sure. To make matters worse, last night it was announced that Biden is now suffering through his 97th bout with COVID. He, I guess, skipped his weekly booster shot again. This is what happens. Coincidentally enough, the COVID announcement comes just hours after an interview was released where Biden conceded for the first time that the only thing that would make him drop out of the race is a medical condition. Will this be the medical condition that does it? Some are speculating. There's no question that it's a serious medical crisis. COVID can, after all, make you very sniffly. It leads to many, many sniffles. I had some sniffles a few weeks ago myself, and I don't know if it was COVID because I didn't take a test because it's the year 2024, but the sniffles were bad. It was almost as bad as being nearly assassinated, in fact, and they made that exact point on MSNBC last night. Watch.
Here's the question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same? It's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
Well, they're right. Getting a cold is exactly the same as getting shot in the head. It's no different. I mean, I make this point to my wife every time I get a cold. I've basically been shot. For all intents and purposes, this cold is the same thing as getting shot, is what I say to my wife. And she always says, stop being a wimp, you're exaggerating. And I say, well, that's a really insensitive thing to say to someone who's just been shot. Anyway, the point is this. All of the people telling Joe Biden to drop out of the race are wrong. Many conservatives on my side of the aisle also claim that Biden is unfit and should step down. But I really think that you all should stop saying that. Seriously. Stop saying that. Can you please stop? What are you doing? I, for one, believe that Biden needs to keep running and take this thing all the way to November. I am rooting for Biden to conquer COVID once again, as he has thousands of times in the past, And stay in this race no matter what. Don't drop out. Don't pass the torch to anyone. Stay in, Joe. I believe in you. Now listen, Joe, all these people telling you to drop out, they're all a bunch of elitists. They've always looked down on working class guys like you, normal everyday Americans like you who've held national political office since the 1870s. They've always doubted you, Joe. Don't listen to them. It's ageism is what it is. They say you're too old to be president? Please. I mean, my great uncle Fred was sharp as a tack until he was 94. He walked around on his own, fastened his Velcro shoes by himself. He was a great Parcheesi player, even into his 90s. So why can't you still be president? The people are with you, Joe. They believe in you. They're excited about you. I hear it all the time. Every time I go out in public, I hear people buzzing about Biden. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with my mailman, and he looked at me and said, "Old Joe is a fighter. We'll never force him out of the race." And I nodded my head and said, "Oh, you mean fighting Joe? Ain't no man pushing him around." And that's when a guy walking by stopped and said, "Are you guys talking about Joe Bulldog Biden? Man, oh man, that guy's something else. I sure hope he stays in the race for the sake of democracy." And just then someone driving past stopped their car. They hopped out and said, "Hey, are you folks chatting about Scranton Joe from Scranton, Pennsylvania? Gee whiz, that old dog knows how to get things done." And then we all laughed and gave each other high fives. That's a real thing that happened in real life. And that's what this is all about. Joe Biden needs to stay in the race to protect democracy. He's the only one who can do it because he's the only one who can beat Trump. Forget what literally every poll says. The polls are ageist too. Of course they're bigoted against the 81-year-old in favor of the 78-year-old. Joe, you can beat Trump, and you must. Because we all know that if people democratically elect Trump, it will be an assault on democratic elections. If anyone but you wins, Joe, it's the death of democracy. You know that. I know that. And that's all that matters. Don't give up now, Joe. Stay in. Keep going. Keep running. Why give up when you're so close to the finish line? Sure, you're not as young and spry as you used to be, but it doesn't matter. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. And that's you. Maybe not steady, but, the first part anyway. Slow. Slow wins the race. Don't listen to the critics. Stay on course. Unless Kamala Harris would really replace you on the ticket, in which case, yeah, you should step aside. Don't be racist. But if you'd be replaced by anyone else, anyone who can, speak and think, then you should stay exactly where you are. I believe in you. Most importantly, you believe in yourself. And that's all that matters. Which is why all the people calling for Joe Biden to drop out of the race are today canceled. That'll do it for the show today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Talk to you tomorrow. Godspeed.
Today on the Ben Shapiro Show, Democrats prepare to toss Joe Biden from the back of the 2024 train. J.D. Vance makes his vice presidential debut, and new puzzling assassination attempt details emerge. That's today on the Ben Shapiro Show. Give it a listen.
Restaurant store.
30 chairs, non-squeak.
Restaurant
15 non-walk.
Restaurant store.
Lights.
Restaurant store.
Where are we going to find all this stuff?
I already ordered it.
Oh, all of it.
Restaurant store for whatever your restaurant needs.
Stage, right? This was all set up. Trying to make them understand it was real was pretty much impossible.
Put that as a possibility that it was staged. I have a lot of questions just like you do. They changed the dates, no problem. The assassination attempt is when? When is the RNC? What did they want to do? Did they want there to be shambles before the RNC? Did they want right now at the RNC where the energy is high, the confidence is high? Was this intentional? Oh, it's Iran. Iran was really behind this and trying to get everybody to look this way instead of, why don't we investigate what the Secret Service got wrong? I think they're going to do whatever they can the next 112 days or whatever days are left to make sure he doesn't get into it.
The language on both sides has to be dialed down.
We're living in an unsafe world, and I'm not going to apologize to somebody sitting across the pond about our Second Amendment.
Other
wait for
people
help
took it
to
as a veiled threat. The clear implication is, don't muck around with me, I'll show you. Former President Donald Trump came within an inch of his life last weekend. What kind of a country would America now be if he hadn't looked the other way? His running mate, J.D. Vance, is an America First absolutist who backs Israel but wants no more aid to Ukraine. What's the strategic play behind his appointment? Trump says he'll now be a unifying force, but is he capable of doing that? Will President Biden still be the Democratic nominee in November? My next guest is a big dog with big opinions on all the big questions. Returning to Uncensored, the Valuetainment founder and host of PBD podcast, Patrick Bet-David. Great to have you back, Patrick. How are you?
Great. How's it going?
Well, you know what? I feel a little bit discombobulated. I feel like there's a lot going on in the world and has been now for a sustained period of time. You know, we had the pandemic, we had war in Ukraine, we've had war in Gaza, we've had cost of living crisis sweeping the world, and now we have the attempted assassination, a very nearly successful attempted assassination of a man who was president of the United States only several years ago, and may well be again. It's all disconcerting, isn't it? What was your reaction when you heard about what had happened to Donald Trump?
You know, it's one of those days, like when I was sitting at Seasons 52 in Plano, Texas, when I heard that Kobe Bryant died, and nobody believed that. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, we're sitting there and I get the news. We're coming back from watching a movie, Fly Me to the Moon, in the Hamptons, and we're with our family. And then all of a sudden, Vinny says, Pat, somebody shot Trump's ear. I said, what? And then we pull up the video. Nobody believes it. And then that's when all the commentary comes out. And we did a video about it, reacting to it. But I mean, obviously, blown away for that to be taking place, but at the same time, not surprised, because we've been talking about this for the last 4 months, where I said the most important thing with the president right now is protection. The most important. You have to make sure you quality control the people that you're relying to protect you. There's almost like there's a reason why Messi has a specific person that protects him that's above and beyond whatever, you know, Inter Miami may offer him. So you can't just rely on Secret Service to do their jobs. I think you need to go above and beyond, especially knowing that the Secret Service director is the Secret Service of the existing president, who has had the DOJ go after you, who has tried to silence you. What makes you think they're going to fully give you their best people to protect you? Yeah, I would be a little bit more paranoid than the team was.
You know, it's interesting. I got into this with Cenk Uygur yesterday. We got very agitated when I said I found what happened very odd. And he immediately started lambasting me as a conspiracy theorist and saying the Secret Service were in on it and all this kind of thing. I said, no, I'm not saying any of those things. Here's what I'm saying very clearly. It is incredibly strange to me and inexplicable that a 20-year-old kid with an AR-15 can clamber onto the roof in full view of the public, who start alerting authorities as much as 2 minutes before he fires this gun, and then gets to the perfect vantage point to shoot Donald Trump from 150 meters. And the fact he's able to let off 8 rounds, even with snipers all apparently looking at him at the time. Again, all of this is very odd, as is the fact that once he was taken down by the Secret Service, who did react very quickly to their credit, they then allowed him to stand back up. And they put a female agent in front of him, who's clearly a lot shorter than he was, thereby exposing his whole head and upper torso to potentially a shot from another shooter, had there been one. Rather than doing what they did with Reagan, for example, when they rushed him straight into the limo and got rid of him and took him to hospital. None of this makes sense to me. It really is an inexplicable chain of events that Donald Trump, who is, you know, one of the most threatened people in American public life, who's been president and is likely to be again, is at a public presidential rally months before an election, and any of that chain of events is able to happen.
Piers, we were a half an inch away from civil war. We were a head not turning this way from a civil war. We've all seen the videos. And by the way, there is nothing wrong with questioning anything. One of the videos we showed is a reporter going around in California asking people, what do you think about the assassination attempt on the president? And everybody this person asked in California, everybody said, oh, It was a setup.
Well, we actually,
It
I tell
was
you
an
what,
act.
Patrick, let me
It
stop
wasn't-
because we actually have that. Let me play that so that viewers know what you're talking about.
Sure, go for it.
Oh, it's a false flag. False flag. Yeah, false flag. Somebody died and 2 people injured. What do you think about that? False flag. False flag.
I thought it was magnificently staged. It was professionally done.
Wait. Staged by who?
Oh, by Mr. Trump, of course.
I think this whole thing is staged.
No.
Please don't. We're so anti-Trump. I don't even want to.
Was it a bad thing, though? Was it a bad thing? Would you condemn it?
Oh, that he got shot?
yeah.
Of course. Was it staged? Probably.
One person died in the crowd, 2 critically injured. What happened there?
Small price. That wouldn't matter to Trump. Do you think he cares if people died for him to be elected? A little scratch on his ear, if there was a little blood on his face.
Now, so you think that they planned from 130 yards away to shoot off the corner of his ear?
And they never shot off the corner of his ear. That was all done by the people hanging around him.
What about the people that died what about the father that died in the stand as well as the others that were critically injured?
I don't know. I can't tell.
What would you say our reasoning is for saying that, or we have no reasoning?
Just a feeling.
If Trump is involved, it's a fraud.
I mean, it's staggering to me to hear that. And yet I had first-hand experience in the UK. From various people that I encountered within 24 hours of what happened, immediately saying to me, because they recognized me and knew I'd been covering this, they said, this thing's staged, right? This was all set up. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course it wasn't set up, but trying to make them understand it was real was pretty much impossible.
But here's what I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with them saying that. I'm okay with that, and put that as a possibility that it was staged. Now, the possibility of being staged may be 0.1%, but we ought to put it out there as maybe this is possibility. Fine, give your argument. But at the same time, I have a lot of questions just like you do. The story that came out with the second shooter, the story that came out with the FBI power washing all the stuff on the top of the building after the shooter was gone, and maybe they don't have any residual effects of the shots fired. Maybe there's no residual effects. That's not a hard thing for us to find. They found the phone. You mean to tell me you didn't find anything in the phone on what was being said? We can't expect why the Secret Service, when I go online and I Google President Joe Biden's Secret Service team and go to images, try to find one female, that's one of his, and you will not be able to find it. I went online and looked at all his team. Everybody is a white male. I thought President Biden was about DEI and, underrepresented. How come he doesn't have a single person that's transgender or lesbian, gay? How come he doesn't have somebody from that community representing him? And forget about that. Why is it that every one of the Secret Service members are white male? Let alone for Trump, when they're being pushed into it, 3, 4, 5 of them were women. This is an area where DEI is being exposed in ways that we just got a story yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have a problem with women in the Secret Service. They just have to be as good as the men, right? And they have to be up to the job. What was pretty horrifying was the agent that you saw, who's unfortunately for her gone viral, who can't even put a gun in a holster in that environment. And you're like, how on earth have you got into the Secret Service? This is like supposed to be the absolute elite of the elite of protection people in the world, and she can't put a gun in a holster twice as she's trying to protect a president who's just been shot.
But think about it from this way. Many, many years ago, when I'm running an office and I had 100 agents that are selling insurance, and one of my agents would come in and say, I have a family member that wants me, got a very complicated financial situation. Their net worth is $10 million. Can you have somebody come and sit down with them? I would choose who I would send to go meet with the family that is the biggest expert in our office that knows how to handle a situation like that, right? I choose how to match up the right agent advisor with the right appointment. The director of Secret Service has the ability to match up the best agents who are the most experienced one against the person that's attracting the biggest audience, with this President Trump. You ought to send the right people to protect. Why did you not? By the way, this is the same person that in 2022, when asked about the text exchange between the Bidens during J6, all of a sudden she's like, oh, the text exchange disappeared. We lost it. But look, we're not trying to do anything, that's negative, or we're not trying to hide anything from the public. So I have a very hard time. And every one of these questions need to be asked, because it's a little bit disturbing when all these stories are coming up. By the way, specifically when, so let's actually think like the devil's advocate. Let's actually think if they were trying to do something, something negative or something that, manipulative to kind of hurt the president. So the judge comes out and says, we're going to pick what's going to happen to the president a few days before RNC, July 11th. Okay, no problem. They changed the dates. No problem. The assassination attempt is when? When is the RNC? What did they want to do? Did they want there to be shambles before the RNC? Did they want right now at the RNC where the energy is high, the confidence is high, with who they have chosen as their nominee, which is Trump, and you see a unification coming up. Nikki Haley got up there, DeSantis got up there, Vivek got up there, Elon Musk just said he's going to get $45 million a month to a super PAC before now at the end of the year. Bunch of billionaires are coming out there, conversations with a Jamie Dimon, conversations with an RFK, the video that was leaked. You know how bad this is for the DNC? If the same person, Vivek, the same folks that are saying this was staged, we ought to also ask, was this intentional to do it right before the RNC? That question should also be on the table.
I just think all questions are perfectly legitimate when we know so little answers. There's no motive has been established, no real information about this shooter or why a 20-year-old kid would want to kill Donald Trump. We just don't know anything about it, and very oddly, very little is emerging about him or motivation or anything. What happens here? I mean, there are lots of consequences. Let's start, first of all, the Secret Service. I don't understand how the Secretary Cheatle, the one in charge of the Secret Service, has not yet been fired. The director, I'm sorry, not Secretary, the Director of the Secret Service, Cheatle. How has she not been fired yet?
How is she not being fired? Because Mayorkas said, we trust that we have her back 100% with what she's doing. And she said, no, I'm still going to be doing the job. And by the way, when they asked the director of Secret Service for specifically the RNC, I don't know exactly her name, but she was one of the ones that was for Secret Service responsible for the RNC. She was asked, are you guys going to be making any adjustments in your approach at the RNC? No, we're taking the same exact approach. What do you mean you're taking the same exact approach? So let me get this straight. In any sporting event, you're a fan of Ronaldo, you're a fan of Man U, you're a fan of soccer, you're a fan of rugby, certain sports we watch. What do players say after a loss? They say we have to make certain adjustments. You mean to tell me if in sports we make adjustments, if in business we make adjustments, if a negotiation doesn't go right, we make adjustments, if in parenting we make adjustments, if in our marriage we make adjustments, in our health we make adjustments, but not when it comes down to an assassination attempt on the president. That totally makes sense, because what's the big deal, right? It's just an assassination attempt. We don't need to make any adjustments. We know what we're doing. And then 3, 4, 5 days later, you want to deflect and confuse the American people and say, oh, it's Iran. Iran was really behind this and trying to get everybody to look this way instead of, why don't we investigate what the Secret Service got wrong? You know, there was something that was said the other day that I really liked, and I would love to quote who said this. The question was the following: how come the president doesn't fire anybody? Everybody bitched and moaned about the fact that Trump fired a lot of people. How come President Biden doesn't fire anyone?
I think it was Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk said it, actually.
I think Elon Musk said the fact that how come President Biden doesn't fire anybody? It's a very valid question. Yeah. In corporate environment, she would be fired like this.
So you have, as the head of the Secret
politics.
Service, you have one job: preserving the life of the president. That is your job. You're in charge of a very large team. I mean, I once interviewed, and it was an incredibly powerful interview, Clint Hill, who was a member of the Secret Service detail on the day Kennedy got shot and killed. And he was Jackie Kennedy's personal bodyguard. He's the one you see jumping on the back of the car after the first shot goes off. And then he slightly stumbles. And he was very tearful with me, because every day he thinks about, had he not stumbled, could he have taken the second bullet and saved JFK's life? So it was a very powerful interview.
I took on my own party to oppose sanctuary cities and deport immigrants who commit crimes, because it's absolutely necessary. I'm Ed Cartwright. I approve this message, and I work for you.
I think there were less than 10 people on that detail in Dallas that day. That was how big the Secret Service protection squad was for the president. There's now over 300. I've been around Donald Trump when he's landed at Stansted Airport in the UK. It's unbelievable what goes on, and when he takes off. The whole backup security and so on. I've been at Mar-a-Lago, but it's been swarmed with Secret Service and so on. What I found extraordinary about what happened at the shooting was, A, there didn't seem to be many Secret Service agents there, given where we are in this election cycle and how polarizing Trump is. B, a lot of them seem to be female, and yet when he appeared at the RNC, he was surrounded by a lot of very large men and no women in sight at all. Who made that decision? Why did they make that decision? Are they acknowledging that the female agents who were there that day were part of the problem? And if so, why were they put there in the first place? And so on and so on. These are all incredibly serious questions. I agree with you. If that bullet had been literally half an inch one way nearer Trump's head, he'd be dead. And if Donald Trump had been killed, all hell would have broken loose in America. I genuinely believe that. It would have been a tinderbox. And I think that we've very fortunately got to a place where he somehow miraculously survived. But heads should roll, and the first head should be the director of Secret Service. Let me move, Patrick, to another consequence of this, which is soaring support for Trump, both in the polls, but also just anecdotally. Just so many people I know saying, you know what, given the state of Biden before this anyway, and his refusal to pull out of the race despite clearly being unfit for the office now, Trump's act of defiance in standing up and putting his arm up to the air and saying fight, fight, fight has really resonated with Americans who saw in a moment of unbelievable horror a guy who showed real leadership, real defiance, a real strength of character, a real personal courage. That, to me, I've said this since it happened, in my estimation, has now propelled him back to the White House. I see no way, if he stays alive, and God forbid anyone else tries to copycat this, but if Trump is there on election day, he wins, doesn't he?
I think if Joe Biden somehow, some way was able to get the Supreme Court to amend the Constitution and allow a president to get a third term, neither a Bill Clinton or a Barack Obama in their prime could beat a Trump today. Yeah. Neither one of them. Neither a Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. However, that's assuming everything's going to be fair play moving forward. That's assuming it's going to be fair play, which we know it's not going to be fair play.
What can they do, Patrick? Let's think about this logically, right? Trump was, completely buried politically 18 months ago. And then the left decided to weaponize the justice system against him in the most ridiculously over-the-top manner. And the first case they used is the Stormy Daniels payment case, which was such a pathetic, low-grade thing to drag a former president through a criminal court over. The conviction got him another $150 million in 10 days in fundraising, and absolutely nobody took it seriously whatsoever. And it had no damage to his reputation or his popularity whatsoever. So that all backfired. They've tried to take him off ballots in various states. That hasn't worked. We've had someone try to shoot him now. That hasn't worked either, thank God. But they've literally chucked everything that they can think of. Both the Democrats, the liberals, lunatics. I mean, you put it all together, this has been one of the most concerted attempts to thwart somebody becoming president again I've ever seen anywhere in the world. And yet there he is, standing now as the clear favorite to go and win. I don't think there's anything the Democrats can now throw at him that will touch the sides. I really don't.
See, it's good to say that, and it's coming from a great place of optimism. But then there are people that get paid to think about what the enemy would do to divide and conquer and play their own games. Look, the New England Patriots one year almost went undefeated. They were 16-0, but they lost to the Giants. So you can't sit there and assume that all these things are going to be perfect and we're going to win. Nobody's going to get in our way. That's not how this thing works. I think for me, you have to think, again, what is at stake for the left? What is at stake for the left if Trump gets in on a second term? Let's kind of talk about this. Elon Musk buys Twitter, turns it into X. We all saw Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi with Twitter files. What did we learn about the involvement of the New York Post tweets a couple days before the election? What did we learn about Biden's camp communicating with Twitter at the time saying you can't allow this to happen? What did we learn about it? They were involved. So what if Trump gets in and all of a sudden brings in individuals to investigate FBI files? What about if there's CIA files? What about if there's DOJ files? What about if there's Merrick Garland files? What if there's all these files that we see with email that you can't just delete these emails because you're dealing with the government? What if we get access to that information? What would we really learn about this? Could this be one of those situations where, if you remember back in the days, where J. Edgar Hoover was frightened after going after the mob because they had certain intel on him as being a cross-dresser, and at the time that was frowned upon. So it's like the mafia doesn't exist, the mafia doesn't exist, the mafia doesn't exist. Then all of a sudden, Rudy Giuliani goes and finds a professor, I think at Rutgers University, that says if you are going to take the mob down, you have to do with the RICO law. And then he comes in, and next thing you know, we see 240-something mob arrested, going in cop cars. Like, what just happened right now with this whole situation? What if that takes place? What if that's what they fear? What if they're worried all this stuff's going to leak? What if they're worried that RFK is going to join Trump's camp and he's going to go after Fauci, NIH, CDC, WHO? What if? These are things you have to consider. So if you thought this protection is at risk, Pierce, question for you and your viewers. What would you do if you were the leader of the Democratic Party, knowing everything could potentially be exposed by the guy that has to follow him that wants that to happen? What would you do to prevent it from being in the office? And by the way, do you think you would stop after what just happened this past Saturday? I'm not going to be in a naive community and say, no, that's it, they're going to let him go in there. I think they're going to do whatever they can the next 112 days or whatever days are left to make sure he doesn't get in there.
I mean, I think the really big question for the Democrats is the thing that's been off the table now for the last few days since the assassination attempt is whether Biden should stay as the Democrat nominee. Most Democrats seem completely torn. The majority I've seen talking out about this seem to think he absolutely can't. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous to think he could do 4 more years in office when he can barely seem to remember what day it is. If they were able to come to their senses, they would have to bring Biden to his senses, which he may not have the faculty to do. But if they did and they were to replace him, as things stand, the most likely replacement is Kamala Harris, who I think could arguably be even less popular than Joe Biden. She's been a pretty useless vice president. There are others who I think will do a better job. But can they get to the place of nomination, or is this really? Are we seeing the Democrats now in complete converse difference to the Republicans, who've never seemed more united? I mean, this RNC convention this week has been one of unbelievable unity, and Trump at the center of it. Are the Democrats now in completely so fragmented that really whatever they do, they're screwed?
Yeah, listen, I mean, think about you're Newsom and you get a phone call. Hey, Newsom, we want to find a way to make you be the nominee. Are you up for it? After the assassination attempt. I'm not feeling well.
I agree.
I think I need to take a mental day off. I think I need to take a break. I think I got COVID. I think I'm sick. You're going to say whatever you can to not go up against Trump today because you're going to postpone till 2028. Yeah. Hey, Michelle Obama, you know, we're thinking about you. Yeah, I'm good being a celebrity right now, hanging out with Jay-Z and Oprah. I don't want to be in there. Hey, Whitmer, maybe Whitmer will do it. Hey, Kamala, maybe Kamala will do it. But that is not their problem. Their problem right now isn't whether they're going to be able to bring in a nominee to beat them. There is this many people that can do it today. This many people. By the way, if you watch the scene, everybody knows what it is to be a parent. And everybody knows what it is to be a son and a daughter. Most people do. If you're the son and a daughter, and you have a loving relationship with your father, somebody you admire, all people need to do is to go see when President Trump walked into the RNC with the badge, with the little Band-Aid on his ear, and you can tell it wasn't the typical Trump. It wasn't the Trump that comes in with the head held high and look who I am. It was a very different Trump. This is not the same human being anymore. Listen, there was a book written many years ago, Pierce, by a guy named David and Goliath, and he talks about what happens to human beings when they have a close call with death. You're no longer the same person anymore. You're just not. You're a completely different human being. And then when he walks up and he's shaking hands with Tucker, then he shakes hands with Byron Donald, then he shakes his son's hand with his left hand, and you see Junior makes eye contact with his dad. Replay that. Every son, every father, every parent will see the pain of that son looking at his hero saying, I almost lost my dad. Everybody relates to that. Now, maybe the people on the left that are like, man, this is ridiculous. This is heartbreaking. I can't even, stomach this, watching this. I feel the pain, but I can't say that publicly because there's no way I'm going to be supportive of this. But the average libertarian, independent, a person in the middle is going to sit there and say, you know what? I'm in with this guy. So this is a very problematic season for the left. And the only way they can do it is not with a candidate. It's with a negative, deceptive strategy to get him out And I'm not going to put anything else out there, but you cannot sit there and not think on the paranoid side that what they're capable of doing.
It's an extraordinary state of affairs. Riveting, fascinating, shocking, concerning, all of those things. It'd be really interesting to see how this all plays out. Patrick, it's great to have you back on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Now the view from the RNC in Milwaukee, one of Trump's most passionate supporters, the Republican U.S. Senate candidate for Arizona, Kari Lake. Kari, welcome back to Uncensored. Always good to have you. What's the mood like down there?
I think it's great. I mean, it's, thousands of people who are excited about moving America in a different direction and the potential to bring America back and make it safe, secure, great again. And all of us together in one place with one of our favorite people, President Trump, somebody who's fought so hard for our country, who's willing to stay in the arena despite, having a lot of people try to knock him down. He keeps standing up and fighting for us. So it's been lovely. I've really enjoyed a lot of his speeches from the politicians and from the regular people, even from people who never were supporters before President Trump. And now they've realized that they've been lied to. They bought into the media narrative, and now they're waking up and saying, wow, actually President Trump is a good guy. He does want to do good things for our country, for all Americans, and that's what's been really great about some of these speeches.
Where were you when you heard that he'd been shot, and what was your reaction?
I had just come in. I'm running for U.S. Senate in Arizona. I just come in off the campaign trail from an event and got into the House and was starting. Normally, I try to watch a lot of the rallies. I enjoy them. But I didn't turn it on because I was trying to rush and pack to come to Milwaukee for the convention. And a friend of mine called and said, President Trump's been shot. And she didn't know any details. And what probably lasted 3 or 4 minutes for me to find out that he was able to stand up and was okay. It was the longest 3 or 4 minutes. It felt like hours trying to track down information. Is he okay? And my heart just sunk. And I started praying right away. And then to see him emerge from that and stand up, and that the fact that he turned his head, and by the grace of God, truly by the grace of God, that bullet just nicked him instead of going through his head and taking his life. We're so blessed. I'm so thankful. I just thank God that he's still with us, because we need him. We got a big fight ahead of us. We got a cleanup job here in America after the disastrous administration of Joe Biden, the dead-end destructive policies of the Democrats that have torn our border wide open, caused an invasion on our southern border, caused deadly drugs to pour into our country. Our streets aren't safe. Obviously, we're teetering toward World War III. We need President Trump, and we need his great agenda to move us forward.
What do you think of the fact that for the last 8 years, people on the left at all levels have repeatedly called Donald Trump Adolf Hitler, compared him to Hitler, evoked memories of the Nazis and so on?
I really put a lot of the blame on the fake news media for perpetuating a smear campaign on President Trump. I wonder why people don't like him. I know him personally, and he's a great man. And just as a mom, I appreciate him because he worked so hard to make our country great in his first term, and I know he wants to do it again. And all I can say is the media's perpetual 8-year, nonstop lies about President Trump, about his family. It's been nothing but a smear campaign, because they knew how popular President Trump was and how popular he could become. So they tried to drag him down. It's been a character assassination for 8 years at the hands of the fake news media. So no wonder.
When you said a fake news media, I think you calling all the media fake news media, especially especially given that you used to be a member of the fake news media, right? You probably would have taken a very dim view of people lambasting all the media as fake news.
People in the news media who are perpetuating this know who we're talking about. There are some good members of the media, Piers, absolutely. I mean, I walked away from my job because I didn't want to do propaganda. I didn't want to be forced to lie to people. So that's why I walked away. I made the decision to step away from a 7-figure contract at great personal sacrifice, because I'm not willing to spread lies, misinformation, and propaganda.
I'm just saying that not all the media are fake news. There are many of them are really journalists. But the other thing that's been the sort of key debate really since what happened to President Trump at the weekend, I just think that the language on both sides has got far too incendiary, far too inflammatory. and has to be dialed down. Donald Trump seems to be recognizing that. He already looks to me like a slightly different man to the one before what happened at the weekend.
I think if you escape death, you become a different.
Sure.
You have a bit of a change.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm eagerly looking forward to his speech on Thursday night because I hope he hits the right tone, which is to bring people together, given how divisive things have got. I want to play 2 clips to you of you, and I want to see whether, with hindsight, you would regret having used the phraseology you did here. So the first one is from the Republican State Convention in Georgia last year.
I have a message tonight for Merrick Garland and Jack Smith and Joe Biden. And the guys back there in the fake news media, you should listen up as well. This one's for you. If you want to get to President Trump, you're going to have to go through me, and you're going to have to go through 75 million Americans just like you. And I'm going to tell you, most of us are card-carrying members of the NRA. That's not a threat. That's a public service announcement.
And the second one, this is from April, in which you talk about your supporters.
That's why the next 6 months is going to be intense. And we need to strap on our, let's see, what do we want to strap on? We're going to strap on our seatbelt. We're going to put on our helmet, or your Carrie Lake ball cap. We are going to put on the armor of God. And maybe strap on a Glock on the side of us just in case. You can put one here and one in the back or one in the front, whatever you guys decide. Because we're not going to be the victims of crime. We're not going to have our Second Amendment taken away. We're certainly not going to have our First Amendment taken away by these tyrants.
My question about both of those really is whether using language that on the face of it sounds quite threatening and in both cases involves guns, card-carrying members of the NRA, strap yourself up with a Glock and so on. Is that part of the problem? On both sides, right? I'm not just going to single you out. I think a lot of people have used similar language, imagery and so on. Do you think that that kind of thing is just something that ought to be, given that the President Trump was nearly assassinated by somebody with a gun? Is that useful to the debate?
Piers, we have something called the Second Amendment here in the United States of America.
Sure.
And we are allowed to protect ourselves. And given how dangerous the world is, we definitely have to protect ourselves. I mean, look at that guy who shot at President Trump. I mean, that's a perfect example. We're living in an unsafe world. And I'm not going to apologize to somebody sitting across the pond about our Second Amendment. And I'm not going to.
Well, it's not because I'm sitting in England. I mean, I'm saying this.
I have every right. Okay, I have every right to carry a gun in America to protect myself.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that when
then what's the problem?
Well, when elected officials talk about that's not a threat, that's a public service announcement about card-carrying member of the NRA. What are you saying there?
What I'm saying is we want to protect ourselves from violence. We want to. We don't want to wait and have to call and
other
wait
people
for help
took it as a veiled threat.
No, it's not. I can't help it if that's how you took it. And
Well,
I know
I think on the other
you.
side, Biden talks about putting Trump in the bullseye. I think that was also reprehensible.
No, the
But I do think invoking like you know, strap on a Glock and a card-carrying NRA. The clear implication is don't look around on me. I'll shoot you.
It's hard. It's really hard for me to explain to you how important the Second Amendment is and our rights.
I know a lot about your Second Amendment.
The difference is I want to be able to protect myself, and my Second Amendment rights give me the opportunity to do that. The left, however, Joe Biden and the media of the last 11, 12 days were actually talking about assassinations and assassinating the president, taking him out. I heard people on the media saying that Joe Biden should have Trump assassinated. That's absolutely wrong. I'm saying we need to protect ourselves in this world. It's not safe. Piers, our streets aren't safe anymore. They're not safe right now. I'm running against a guy who wants to defund the police. Meantime, we're letting 12 million people come in who are criminals.
The point I'm making, should politicians on both sides just be more careful going forward about the kind of language they use?
I believe in the First Amendment, and I definitely believe we shouldn't be threatening anybody.
Right. So is that a yes?
I believe if you're a politician who's threatening somebody or trying to push people to threaten somebody, that's a problem.
But do you think the language on both sides has got too incendiary?
I don't see President Trump trying to threaten anybody. I don't see people in our movement trying to threaten anybody.
Have you talked to President Trump?
I missed his call last night after my speech. I was doing an interview with the media and I missed his call, but he left me a really kind voice message that I appreciated very much. And so I wasn't able to chat with him. I was hoping to talk to him last night, but I was in a throng talking to reporters and I missed the phone call. But I appreciate, if he's watching, thank you, President Trump, for that nice message.
I'm absolutely certain he'll be watching. I think Uncensored's on his reminder list for his YouTube
schedule. Yes.
Yeah. And do you think there's any doubt that Donald Trump will now win the election?
I believe he will win. I think he's going to win in huge numbers, a massive victory, and more importantly, it's going to be a victory for our country. I think the world wants President Trump back in the White House. We're not safe. The world's not safe with Joe Biden, who's not totally with it, running the show. We're not safe anymore in our own communities. Our border's wide open. We have a ton of problems right now, and we need President Trump, a man with strength and the intelligence and the courage to do the right thing to get back in there. I'm excited about it. I'm working hard to win my race in the U.S. Senate so we can give President Trump the majority in the Senate. We can accomplish what we need to do for the American people. And I mean this, I want all Americans to do better. I think we're actually much more united than the media wants people to be. We're much more united, and this country is coming together, and we're gonna make sure that we move forward and bring about great change to get us out of the mess we're in with the Joe Biden's disastrous and the Democrats' disastrous policies and get us back on the right track so everybody does better.
Caroline, always good to have you on our Censored. Thank you for coming back on.
Likewise. Thank you, Pierce.
Hurry, burger, go and get one.
The following is a conversation with Diana Walsh Pasulka, a professor of philosophy and religion at UNCW and author of American Cosmic, UFOs, Religion, and Technology. This book is one of the most fascinating explorations of the interconnected nature of technology, belief, and the mystery of alien intelligence. Quick mention of our sponsors: Element Electrolyte Drink, Grammarly Writing Plugin, Business Wars Podcast, and Cash App. So the choice is health, grammar, knowledge, or money, my friends. And if you wish, click the sponsor links below to get a discount and to support this podcast. As a side note, let me say, as I did in the recent video on how many intelligent alien civilizations are out there, that the nature of alien life, intelligence, and how they might communicate with us humans is likely stranger than we imagine, and perhaps stranger than we can imagine. What is most fascinating to me is how the belief in the communication with such civilizations changes people's understanding of the world and, as Diana argues, the technology we create. Technological innovation itself seems to manifest the mythology in our collective intelligence that turns the seemingly impossible into reality in just a matter of years through the belief of individual humans that carry out that innovation. The nature and power of this belief in both technology and extraterrestrial intelligence is mysterious and fascinating, perhaps holding the key to us humans understanding our own mind, our consciousness, and engineering versions of it in the machines we create. This thing, subscribe on YouTube, review it on Apple Podcast, follow on Spotify, support on Patreon, or connect with me on Twitter at Lex Friedman. And now, here's my conversation with Diana Walsh Pasulka. You are a scholar of religious belief, or belief in general. So, the fascinating question, what do you think is the difference between our beliefs and objective reality? What is real, period?
Sure, what is real? Easy question. So first let me start with belief. So belief is generally, there are different definitions of belief just as there are different definitions of what is real, okay? So for belief in my field, it would be attitudes toward something that dictate our actions, okay? So we believe the sun is going to rise tomorrow, therefore we act as if it will rise tomorrow, all right? Beliefs can be wrong. For a long time, people believed, and actually some still do, that the earth, okay, well that's obviously an erroneous belief. So beliefs can be wrong. Now the bigger question that philosophers ask is this belief accurate toward what we consider to be objective reality? So now let me go to objective reality. So what is real? I don't think we can actually obtain a correct understanding of what is real. And in that sense, I have to refer to a philosopher again, and that would be Immanuel Kant. So Immanuel Kant is one of he was basically in the 1750s, he wrote critiques of reason and things like that. So he said, well, if you're a philosopher or have any kind of understanding of Western history, you know who he is. He had this idea that we can actually never get to the thing in itself. Okay, so he called that the noumenal, the thing in itself. He said, let's take this table, for instance, that you and I are talking across. So this thing is a table. You and I both know that. We assume it's real. We believe in it because we put our water on it and our water stays on it. Okay. However, can we know this thing in and of itself as a table? So that would be what he then would call the phenomenal. How do we know that that phenomena exists as we know it is? Okay, how do we know? We use our faculties, so we use our senses and things like that. But again, even our senses can be wrong. So I've been on committees just recently, this year, last year, for hiring professors in my department who are philosophers. And we're hiring metaphysicians and people who are thinking about the nature of reality. And basically what I've learned from them, they're very.
I'd love to attend those faculty talks. Metaphysics professors.
What's funny is that for each one of them, I'm convinced each time. They all say different things, but they're so convincing. I'm like, yes, hire that one, right?
Is it like historical philosophy of a particular topic?
No.
Do they have an actual?
I'm gonna have to stop for something to eat soon. I'm hungry as hell right now. Alright, right. Damn. I already say 5:30. It's past 5:30. Maybe at 6 o'clock. Oh, damn, okay. At 6, I'll break for dinner.